cyberspace is a world that we depend on every single day.
The internet's all around us. It's literally flowing through the air.
It's a little bit mystical and intrinsically has no borders, no fingerprints.
What goes on here is a mission-critical network on which 2 million lives depend daily.
It's the classified military and intelligence networks that keep us safe, and the massive grids that power our nation.
Basically, I can use a keyboard and I can hack into the systems that are supposed to be protecting something, and I can actually use it to destroy it.
How big a problem is this? How many intrusions are there on government networks, military networks specifically?
Thousands of attempts every day. We're trying to get information about our weapon systems, about our plans, about how we operate.
Have they gotten any of these things?
Oh, absolutely.
Our allies are targets, we're targets. We don't need any more evidence that bad things are happening.
2 years ago, a computer virus called Stuxnet infected and damaged the Iranian nuclear program. And that may sound like a good thing, but we are now learning this type of cyber attack could also be used against us. Last night on 60 Minutes, correspondent Steve Croft reported on this new cyber warfare battle.
Now, the White House has contacted the Chinese government to voice concerns about hacking attacks that it's claimed are coming from there. An American computer security company has alleged a military unit in China is behind the cyber strikes, having traced them to its building, although Beijing has strongly denied the claim. This as Apple becomes the latest big company to admit it's been a victim of computer hacking. Jonathan Josephs has more.
America must also face the rapidly growing threat from cyber attacks. Now, we know hackers steal people's identities and infiltrate private emails. We know foreign countries and companies swipe our corporate secrets. Now our enemies are also seeking the ability to sabotage our power grid, our financial institutions, our air traffic control systems. We cannot look back years from now and wonder why we did nothing in the face of real threats to our security and our economy. And that's why earlier today, I signed a new executive order that will strengthen our cyber defenses by increasing information sharing and developing standards to protect our national security, our jobs, and our privacy. But now Congress must act as well by passing legislation to give our government a greater capacity to secure our networks and deter attacks.
Good morning. I'm George Stephanopoulos, and we are coming on the air because we have just learned that the U.S. ambassador to Libya has been killed. It happened overnight. When angry militants stormed the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, they fired shots, set the building on fire. Almost a dozen Americans were inside being guarded by Libyan security. At least one other American died, most likely of smoke inhalation. And it appears the attack was inspired by an anti-Muslim film produced by an American-Israeli filmmaker living in California. That film also sparked protests and attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. Let's go right away to ABC's Martha.
This year, the Arab world erupted as a generation of young people, no longer prepared to suffer in silence, rose up against the hated despots who ruled their countries.
Gaddafi has destroyed our country, and now we can't test the freedom.
But the way these revolutions began caught the world off guard.
The weapons of the activists of the so-called Arab Spring weren't guns and bombs, but the internet and the mobile phone.
For the first time in history, world-changing events were recorded hour by hour by the man and woman on the street. A unique filmed record now exists, charting the downfall of tyrants in Tunisia, Egypt and Libya, and exposing the unimaginable brutality of embattled regimes in other parts of the Arab world.
We started lighting anything we could get our hands on. We were throwing stones, and they were shooting live bullets.
They knew there was one way to show the images to people across Tunisia: Facebook.
Ces vidéos-là que j'ai vues, des voitures brûlées.
The video I saw showed burned out cars, young people throwing stones, and it was a video taken on a mobile. One of the young people throwing stones was saying, "Who is going to let our voice be heard? We're not animals, so why are we being ignored?"
Qui va porter notre voix?
On the face of it, Slima Mamou and his friend, computer engineer Aziz Amami, had little in common with the fruit sellers of Sidi Bouzid. They were university educated, privileged, the children of the well-to-do. What they shared was a hatred of their president and a frustration that they couldn't speak freely in their own country.
Looking at all the dictatorships in the Arab world, you could see them all as part of one single dictatorship. A collective consciousness emerged via the internet because the internet is immediate.
In fact, the Tunisian bloggers had access to one of the most advanced internet infrastructures in the Arab world.
I can't think of another area in Homeland Security where the threat is greater and we've done less.
U.S. power grid.
After
if you were a terrorist group or a failed nation state and you had a couple of $1 million, where would you go to find the people that knew how to do this? On the internet. They're out there?
Several failures, Congress is once again trying to pass the nation's first cybersecurity law. And once again, there is fierce debate over whether the federal government should be allowed to require the owners of critical infrastructure to improve the security of their computer networks. Whatever the outcome, no one can say the nation hasn't been warned.